Hello and welcome to the next video of my build series on the Tamiya Dark Impact on the DF03 chassis. Last time I left you after completing this little beast here, the rear diff and gearbox assembly, and today we're going to follow on that and I think we start building the rear suspension. So with that we'll start off on step 9, which is the rear damper stay, and for this we're going to need parts B3, 2 off of M1s on the plastic parts and 4 off of MT2s, which are the 5mm adjusters, and for the metal parts we're going to need 6 off of MA2s, which are 3x10mm screws, 2 off of MC1s, which are 3x12mm tapping screws, 2 off of MD5, which are ball connector nuts, and 2 off of MD6, which are ball connectors, and last but not least 2 off of MS3 3x50mm threaded shafts. And we'll start off with these threaded shafts. As you can see, if I move that slightly, I've already done one, and there's a 1-to-1 diagram for the distance between the 2 posts. So I've already started the second one, but this first one was really difficult to do because I think this is quite tough plastic. So what I've done is I've just put a tiny dab of grease on each end of the threads before starting it off, and then I just simply hold one and twist the other one, and eventually when one side tightens the other side starts to screw in, and I just keep going like that until they're all the way in, and then I keep measuring like so until I've got the correct distance and the correct orientation there. So I'll do that in a bit once I've finished the other steps. So we can then move on to the actual damper stay, and for this we're going to need this B3 part and these 2 M1s, and they slot in like that. And there is a locating lug, I'm assuming to stop them from spinning. And then according to this we need the 2 MC1s to screw into them. And there we have those 2 bits, and then get the orientation right again. And now we need 2 of these MA2s, and looking at the diagram, it goes through the very bottom hole, and we screw on one of these MD5s, the ball nut, and then we just need to nip that up. Nice and tight, and then we can get one of these MD6s. I think looking at this, it goes in the middle hole, so that's where I'm putting it anyway. And again, I can use my knot spinner. And then we just do the other side. And once you've done that, you can place the damper stay over the gearbox, and again with the remaining 4 screws we can screw them up into that, and that will complete step 9. So when you've installed the damper stay, it should look something like that. Quite cool and funky. One thing I forgot to mention is these top suspension arms, you have to make a left and a right version so that when you pop them on like that, the ball joint or ball connector faces down on both sides. So now we've done that, we can move on to step 10, which is attaching the rear lower arms, or A-arms, or wishbones as I call them. And for this we're going to need 2 off of these parts here, E1, which are this quite stiff, hard plastic. And then metal parts, we need MD6 times 2 ball connectors, 2 off of MS6, which are 3x48mm steel shafts, 4 off of MC6, which are 2mm E-clips, and as you can see here I've already put 2 on these bars because every time I try and do it on camera something goes wrong and it pings off and stuff, but hey, so we've already done that. I've already installed one of the ball joints and the other one just goes on here on the inside hole according to the diagram, and we just screw it in. And I've got to say, considering this plastic seems so hard and dense, these screw in really easily. So I don't know. And then we need to get one of these bars and get the orientation correct. Start to feed it through the A-arm, slide it in, which is actually easier said than done. Oh, the top arm was getting in the way. And then it's one of these cases where you need about 4 arms. There we go. And it slides through. And oh, well, that's a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if you can see there, but it actually hits the motor. But hey, I'm sure I've done everything right. And then we just need to simply put the E-clip on. Which I don't seem to be able to get at with my chubby fingers. Like that. Okay, so I've given up trying to put this E-clip on with the motor in, so as you can see, no motor. Let's give it another go. And there we go. And then we can do the same for the other side. And there we have the lower arms installed. And I'll just get and put the motor back in, and we can get on to step 11. Step 11 is making up the rear axles, and for this we're going to need 2 off of D4 and metal parts, 2 off of MD6 5mm ball connectors, 2 off of MR2 1150 ball races, and 2 off of MJ5's wheel axles. Now there's a note here that says to drill a 2.5mm hole through D4s, which is this bit here, and if I can just hopefully show you, I've already done this one like that. So we just need to do the other one. Now unfortunately, because I'm not at home, I forgot to bring a drill, so I'm having to do it by hand like this, but it does work. And then once you get so far like that, I can't turn it now. I just grab my trusty long nose pliers and twist it. Until it goes through, and then we just whiz it round a bit just to try and get off any burrs. Give it a blow, and we're ready to continue. So get rid of that. So if we get the positions right, we can get a ball race, pop it on the wheel axle and pop it through, and yeah, I don't think it goes in any further than that. No, so not that tight a fit, and then we just need the ball joint in the middle hole, and then we need to make the other one up. Once you've completed the rear axles, we can move on to step 12, attaching the rear axles. And for this we're going to need the gearbox, obviously, the 2 axles, 2 MJ6, which are your dog bones or drive shafts, and metal parts, 2 off of MC3, which are 3mm grub screws, and 2 off of MS4, which are 3 by 31mm shafts that have a cutout, and we'll pop those to one side, and we'll get one of the grub screws. In fact, where's me, there it is. Pop it on the Allen key, and we'll just start it off. And then the trick with this one is going to be trying to line this slot up here, if you can just see that. I'm not sure if I can, there, you can just about see it, lining that up in here with the grub screw. It's just to hold it in place to stop it from coming out, so I don't think it has to be that tight. It's just trying to get it to line up. So I think what we'll do is pop it this way so I can get a better view. I'll try and line the holes up first, and then gently ease it in. Hopefully it'll stay basically safe, straight, even. Like that. Pop it all the way home. And then finish off by tightening this up like that, and hopefully then that won't push out. No, we've got that. Pop the bloody wheel axle back in and get your dog bone. Now the instructions say to grease these, but I'm not going to, because the grease just picks up all the dust and dirt. So I think I'll leave it as it is. Then we take the upper arm and we just pop it on the lovely brass ball joint, and that's the one side done. And as usual, or as is quite common, repeat for the other side. And this is what it should look like once you're done. Two sides of the rear suspension all ready to go. And then the last step in this episode is step 13, would you believe, which is attaching the gearbox onto the chassis. And for this we're going to need 2 off of MB1s, which are 3x10mm tapping screws, and 4 off of MC4, which are 3x12mm countersink tapping screws. And it should just be a case of lining them up, and these 2 holes here I think fit over these here, and we use the MB1s to attach those there. And then if we spin it round, nice bit of dust there. Using the countersink screws, they will just screw into that. And there we have one attached rear differential and gearbox onto the chassis. And with that I'm going to end it here, and hope you've enjoyed watching this, and look forward to seeing you on the next one, which I think will be doing the front differential. So with that, thanks for watching. Bye!